Guess what happened to me today?
There's a flag on the play, dude.
These are things that keep me up at night.
Being punched in the testicles?
This is Jose.
This is Ken.
Does anyone know where we are right now?
Happy Hump Day!
Hump Day! Happy Hump Day, everyone.
Welcome to the Joke and Adventure Show.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope we can brighten up your Wednesday just a bit because it's a Wednesday, but the weekend is right there around the corner.
I hope you're enjoying your ride into work and that the rest of your week goes by super fast. So today, we're going to talk about crossing the border.
Border crossings, passports.
Doing your research beforehand, because we did not. Because we didn't think we had to. Never thought it would be a problem. So this is in regards to both traveling to the U.S. and also when we traveled to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So our first one, traveling to the U.S. last year, December of 2022. Kenny and I packed up the 40-foot toy hauler, packed the bikes up, and ready to go, right?
We did. We head down to St. Catharines. We said, let's cross in Buffalo. We're going to visit down there because I cracked a tooth.
Yeah.
And we had a beautiful friend dentist, and she fixed my tooth for me.
Yeah.
And it was early December, and we decided, let's get out of here. Let's start heading south.
Yeah. So December 7th, early morning, decided we'd go to the border. There was nobody there.
Oh my God.
Drove right up. There's nobody there. And this kid, I'm calling him a kid because he was probably about 25, 26 years old, Kenny, give or take.
Yeah, fairly young.
And he'd asked if we traveled back and forth much. Anyways, he started asking a few questions, and then he sent us to secondary. So he made us pull over and told us to go inside. And we did.
Yeah.
Left our poor little Monty in the truck because they don't allow non-trained service animals in the building. So we went in, and cell phone signs everywhere, not allowed.
Don't break out your cell phone, for sure.
Yeah, and they brought us up, started asking us certain dates that we had traveled to the U.S. And if you're a frequent traveler, a snowbird, definitely I'm going to give you a website to check out before you do your traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
So anyways, they brought us to the counter, asked us some questions on our travel dates, and when we went back and forth, they wouldn't let me pull my cell phone out, so I couldn't give them exact dates because I don't remember that shit. And Kenny, well,
I don't remember anything ever because I have a bit of a brain injury from things blowing up around me too much in the military. But when Jose always has the dates in her phone, she always logs everything in there, and she knows exactly what it is, but you can't break out your phone. So hard copies is the way to go.
I would definitely have hard copies. Well, I do now. So he informed me that not Kenny, because I thought for sure we got pulled in because of Kenny.
Oh, yeah. So when Jose goes up and she talks to anybody, especially when we come back from Europe and stuff like that, and in airports or whatever, Jose will never lie to authorities. So the truth is always...
I like how you say that. To authorities.
To authorities. The truth is always the way to go. So if they're going to ask me questions, they brought Jose up and they brought me up, and then they asked me questions too. Of course, I can't remember anything. I'm guessing it dates probably worse than Jose was. And I just have to answer them the way that the truth.
The way you remember them anyways.
The way I remember them. And of course, I didn't remember them very well. So we looked pretty sketchy on the dates type of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so he called me up again on my own, and he told me I overstayed. Me, not Kenny. I had overstayed in the U.S. I had stayed there 15 months. So obviously, that was a computer fuck up because I did not stay in the U.S. for 15 months.
Yeah.
So, and anyways, he said, now I have to take you to the back, fingerprint you, and take your photo for our records. So, of course, Jose, being who I am, I was very disappointed and started to tear up. And then he proceeded to ask me what I had in my pockets, if I had anything in my pockets. And I said, well, I have my pocket knife. And his eyes got really big and round. Mm-hmm. If you know me, you know I always have my pocket knife on me. So he said, go give that to your husband. So I did. He brought me to the back, fingerprinted me, made me take my toque off. Oh, not a good idea. It was not a pretty look. Plus, I was crying. So that photo is probably in their staff room somewhere, being laughed at as the worst picture
of the year for sure.
yeah, of a am I middle-aged woman?
Sure.
Sure. So anyways, that being said, they missed one of my entries back into Canada. So it's a computer error, which he said it was out of his hands. It's not like I can ask to talk to his supervisor. They leave everything to the officer's discretion. So if he decides I am not crossing, that decision, they stick with it. So anyways, so he...
So you got you just so our European listeners, when Canada and the United States share a border, and they share the information. So as we cross into Canada, the computer passes that information to the States that this person has left the United States.
The US, yeah.
And likewise, when we cross into the States, they make sure Canada knows that this person has left Canada. But just for some reason, this one crossing of Jose's
and
just didn't transfer across.
Yeah, he did mention, like he says, I can see in those 15 months that you flew out of Toronto and went to Aruba and then flew back into Toronto 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, I can also see that you re-entered the US, in the middle of all that. So clearly you were not here for 15 months, but it's in Homeland Security's hands now. It's out of my hands. There's a 3-year ban. So what happened is when we crossed back during COVID of 2020, and I mean, we didn't return to the US till this attempt. That attempt of December 2022. There was a 3-year ban starting as of March 2020. So I was 3 months away from the ban being done. So regardless of, because of COVID, we didn't try to re-enter the U.S. And my ban was 3 months away from being from.
So he said what you could do is you could apply to Homeland Security and you could pay a $500 U.S. fee. And they would investigate it for you.
And it could take up to what, he said?
It could take a year.
Yeah.
And it's done in 3 months. So he goes, I don't recommend that because you'll be able to cross in 3 months.
Yeah. And by March, we're normally starting to think about, getting ready and working our way back up again. Mm-hmm. So that was not an option. So we had to turn around with our tail between our legs and our 40-foot trailer. So that's not a small feat. When you have... as a snowbird, when you have, your itinerary in hand and you're ready to go and you're heading for hot weather, everything was packed away. All our winter clothes, everything was packed away. So to be turned around, it was disappointing. And then when we did get back to, we crossed the bridge back over to Canada and we got stopped by our Canadian Border Services, and he said...
I love that.
I know. When he said to Kenny, so how long have you been in the U.S.? And Kenny looks at his watch and he goes, about 45 minutes. And the guy looks at him and goes, care to explain? So
you brought this down to the States, this truck and trailer and everything for 45 minutes?
So Kenny turned the truck off. And again, there was nobody in line. So Kenny explained to him. And he said, do you mind if I call immigration? I'm like, would you? Because I still was hopeful that he would be able to maybe print something up for me and we could turn around again and go give it another try. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't able to print up anything. But I was able to pull out my phone because I was in my car and he listed up all the dates. And I said, yep, that's what I have. But they missed a date somewhere in there.
Just for Jose.
Just for me, not Ken. And we travel for the most part together. I mean, there's one point in there where you flew back to Canada. So I think what happened is because they asked us if we flew back, and we did fly back at some point. We had crossed over. We flew home from Vegas because Gabby was coming home from Iraq. She had done a 6-month tour in Iraq as a civilian, helping
as
out
a
with
barber.
as a barber, working out with PSP. And so we were going home for Christmas, spent some time with her, and we were there for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think maybe at some point there, they got me re-entering in Vegas. Anyways, that was a hellish year because that same trip when we came back from Vegas, we ended up on our way home, San Antonio, got our truck stolen. So you flew home. And it was a shit show. And I think that's what happened. It was just a mess of a back and forth, and they missed one of my reentries.
Yep.
So that being said, when we got home, I had to
You have to prove all this.
Yeah, I had to prove. So I'm like, son of a bitch, right? So he had suggested the I-94 website. So that's what I'm suggesting to you. Check out the I-94 website. You just punch in I-94 forms, and you'll get a website. It's a U.S. Customs and Border Protection. It's anyways, it's a web page, and you can click what applies to you. You enter your passport number.
Your name, your date of birth.
your name, your date of birth. And then it gives you for the last 10 years every time you have entered into the U.S.
Yep.
And
where you entered through.
And which border crossing you entered through. The thing that I had to apply for, because Canada, well, it's not that easy to get that information.
It's not web-based for sure.
Yeah. I had to apply Canada's access to information. I just went to the website, punched in my information, and it cost $5.
And it takes, how long did that take? It would take about 3 weeks?
Oh, no. It took probably about 6 weeks, Kenny.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they mailed it to
you. Yeah. They responded quite quickly and said, let us gather the information, and you should be hearing 4 to 6 weeks. And maybe the 4 weeks. I don't know. I can't remember. At that point, I was frozen in Canada. So we didn't go anywhere that winter because we hadn't planned on anything else. And to travel with our little Monty, to get all the paperwork and stuff like that, it's time consuming. We had just bought a brand new truck because our other truck, we got into an accident in August. So that was a write-off.
So was going to haul our trailer down there, and it was going to go well. But
but I wasn't about to leave a brand new truck sitting in the winter while we flew off somewhere. Anyways, so that's what happened. So my recommendation, do your research. Definitely check out your I-94, especially if you do a lot of traveling back and forth into the U.S. I'm thinking we're going to apply for a
Nexus card.
A Nexus card. I think that's our safest bet because, again, because my ban is done. Over the summer, we were in St. Catharines again because I think Kenny cracked another tooth.
Probably.
And anyways, it's our summer yearly visit to our friends. And we decided to do a day trip because it was after my ban was done. And I brought my paperwork with me. And, of course, we got pulled into secondary again. He wanted to inform me that I was not allowed to stay in the U.S. for that long, and that's why I had been banned. And I said to him, I know I'm not allowed to stay for that long, and I wasn't in for that long. And I explained to him what had happened. And he said, and the guy didn't let you in. He says, if you would have seen me, he said, I would have let you in. He said, you can clearly see that
it was a computer error.
It was a computer error because you had re-entered in the States and you had been to Aruba for 2 weeks out of Toronto. So clearly it's a computer error. I would have used my better judgment and let you in. And plus you were 3 months away from your ban being over and done with. So
what are you going to do? What are you going to do in December that you're not going to do in March?
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So anyways, we did a bit of shopping that day and came back. And then we decided so we're going to attempt to go to the U.S. again in December. So this past, December? No, November. Yeah. We left November. Sorry. We left a few weeks ago. So we went to, sorry, you're going to say something.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so we ended up, which crossing did we, Thousand Islands.
Thousand Islands.
We decided to cross there because the price of diesel in Canada is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, let's cross as quick as we can.
Yeah, the prices are quite good down here for diesel. So anyways, we got to the border and the guy asked the question. He said, have you ever been denied access to the U.S.? Denied access to the U.S.
Why would he ask that question? Nobody's ever asked me that question at the border, so of course.
So, and I can't lie. So I said, yes, I was denied last year for overstaying. I said, but it was a computer error. And I said, I have my paperwork with me. And he said, well, okay. He says, why don't you pull over
there by that other trailer, just park by him in secondary. So.
And I smiled, but in my head I was saying, motherfucker.
Yeah. And I laughed because the first time we did this, I noticed the lady that was sitting there. She came in while I was waiting and you were getting fingerprinted in the back.
Yeah.
And she had this binder and I'm like, wow, she must look like a businesswoman or whatever. And she got all this binder of all her customs and stuff like that. And now I know why she had this binder. It was all the paper versions of everything electronic
To
that
prove.
you would have to prove when you crossed or where you've been or what you have.
Yeah, but I understand now what she's gone through because I'm going to be traveling with a binder now. So here's the issue. So the guy almost didn't let me in this time. He said, this has nothing to do with your ban. He says, this has to do with you having ties to Canada. So I'm not in a position to argue anything there because it's, again, at his discretion. If he decides, if I start arguing with him and he decides, like, I'm not fucking letting you in because you are an argumentative bitch, that's his prerogative.
That's his prerogative.
He could just say, like, you have no ties to Canada. So I literally, to him, and according to the border crossing, I have no ties to Canada. So I said to him, like, I had my paperwork. He goes, that's fine. This has nothing to do.
All we have is Canadian passport.
Yeah, I have a Canadian passport and I have a Canadian address, but I don't own
Property.
Yeah, I don't own property.
We
I
have a
don't
bank account.
We have a bank account. I don't have any bills in my name. Like, we have a cell phone bill, but
Yeah, because when you worked, you were at a private practice, so there's no pension.
yeah, I have no pension. So I have according to them, I have no income, no
Property.
nothing, no property. So I'm
In your
free to
name.
just, like to him, I could just stay here in the US and not go back home. And then I guess I would become a burden on them. Like, is that their worry?
I don't know what they're thinking.
Anyways, my health care, and I said I have health coverage in Ontario. I cannot be out of Ontario for more than, I think I have to be in Ontario for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but my ties, I'm like, well, my daughter's there, my family's there, my friends are there. And we says, well, okay, how old's your daughter? And I said, well, 29. He goes, well, she's a grown adult, like there's no reason for you to go back for her. Anyways, the rationale was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I agreed with them. I said, yeah, you're right. I have no ties, if you will. I don't have a job. But for somebody, you could argue this to the end of time. Like, if somebody has a job, like let's say I had a full-time job there, how is that a tie for me to go back? And even if I owned a house,
Even
I
if
could
you
just
own
say,
property.
fuck it. I could phone my boss and say, hey, I quit and I'm putting my house up on fucking Airbnb and I'll
Yeah.
rent it out while I sit here and not go back and live in the States. I mean, I love the U.S. I do. I love it here. The history, good and bad. The people,
fantastic in the winter.
we've had great experiences. We have family in Houston. Ken has an aunt and uncle that live there and some cousins. And I just like...
But we like Canada. We were offered a friend of ours in Portugal, and he goes, if I got a place here, would you come and manage it? We're like, we'd come in the winter for sure, but we love Canada. We're coming back to our lakes and our fishing and our daughter, and
Yeah.
we have, Canada's where we live, and we love it.
I even showed them, like, we had our seasonal site,
Yep.
our receipt, I paid, that's a couple $1,000s right there. And apparently that's not enough. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, my driver's license.
But if you wanted a cell phone bill in your name, I'm like, that's not tying you to Canada. If anything, you're just paying it online, and you could be anywhere in the world.
Like, I don't know why he doesn't get on your case. Cause he says, well, your pension, he said to me, he probably has to, be back in Canada for that. You
No.
don't. So I don't know. Anyways, I don't understand it. And he says, you probably will. And I know I'll get pulled over every single damn time I come down here. And it's frustrating because there's a lot of time and money that comes into when we prepare to come down here. And it's like last winter when we didn't get to cross the border. Well, I mean, I know our spending here in the States when we come here. I mean, we buy food, we buy gas, we stay at places. I mean, we contribute to their economy. It's not like we're just...
last year it was over $4 a gallon to come
Was it
down
really?
here. We'd have spent, at least driving down here, we'd have spent about 1,000 American.
Well, we spent about that now.
Okay, so it would have been
So,
about
yeah, if
more
not
than that,
more. Yeah, like it's just insane. I don't understand the rationale for
So
it.
thanks for saving me that money last year.
I know. It's frustrating. So we almost did not make it across. we are here. We are down in southern Texas on the water.
On the water, yeah.
Loving it. Anyways, but that's our frustrating part. So do your research. That's my biggest advice. What are we at, Kenny?
We're 20
Is that
minutes.
the coyotes again?
Coyotes are right behind us here. So the other thing I want to mention is when we were in the second year of
Sorry,
COVID.
Can you pull up the window? You guys have to hear this. Pull the window up behind you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys have to hear this. It's like right behind our camper. They are fucking going wild.
Yeah, that's right behind me.
Oh,
Crazy.
Monty's hearing's not good, but he just lifted
You
his
heard
head
that.
up.
They're talking his lingo. So the other thing is when this first year of COVID,
Yeah.
or second year of COVID, we decided to go to Portugal.
Yeah, because I don't think the U.S. was quite
We weren't
open
crossing
yet.
borders yet at that point.
Okay.
So we decided to go to Portugal, and we ended up staying you're only supposed to stay there for 90 days.
Well, we did. Okay, so back it up a bit. We didn't know this, right? So, Kenny, we booked our tickets from December to May. So January, February, March, April, May. So that's 5 months, right? So we get there, we're doing our thing, having a great time, and then we read somewhere that you can only be in the Schengen. Schengen is pretty much all the European countries except for I think the UK, Croatia,
Yeah.
and
Ireland, the UK,
Ireland.
and
Croatia. Yeah.
Croatia.
I think it's just the three, but I think they're working on bringing them into that.
Anyway.
Anyways, so 90 days. So we're like, holy shit, we messed up. So we started doing some research, have to apply for a visitor visa. So we
have
finally
to extend our visitor visa.
Oh,
was what we had to do.
extend. My apologies. Extend our visitor visa.
So to do that, you got to go to the SEF, which is their border customs patrol.
Yeah.
But they were having such a hard time. The backlog. There was golden visa stuff going on. There was people trying to extend their, they were married to Portuguese people from the UK, and they're trying to get their citizenship, their visa to live there.
Yeah.
So they were really backlogged, and they're just like, we're just extending it. We're just extending it. You don't have to go. You can stay here. And they gave us paperwork, and they said you can stay
It was till the end of March.
and then they extended it again till like July, but we were leaving in May anyway.
Yeah. So we lucked out. That was, we lucked out on that one.
But we had a change on our ticket if we needed to. We had one, we paid extra to have a change on our ticket. If they said you have to go, we'd have just left.
Yeah. So,
but we don't know now. There's nothing to regulate if we show up in Portugal next time. If we decide to travel there next year, let's say, we're not sure how to verify that we haven't overstayed our visa there. And then we're going to show up in Lisbon at the airport, and they're going to go, you overstayed. You're at a 3-year or 5-year ban or whatever their bans might be. And
turn us away. And then we have to fly back to 7.5, 8 hours or whatever. 7.
Yeah, there's a system that's coming up in Europe. So all we're saying is
do your
some
due
research,
diligence.
do some research, and try and make sure that, if you've been in and out of the States or places that you think you might have overstayed, maybe do some research. I think one of the things I read is that if you're going to go to Europe, maybe apply at the Portuguese embassy from wherever you're at and just get a visitor visa, even though we're allowed it in a lot of the countries. If you're in a country that's allowed a 90-day automatic visitor visa, just get the paperwork from them, because they'll vet you more thoroughly than the SEF will at the airport.
Yeah, because that's my concern now, is if we go and they said, well, you stayed from this date to that date. I mean, we could say they kept extending us. I mean, and you had an appointment booked, but they never called you for an actual
No,
timing.
they were so bad. I said it'd be about a year before you get an appointment. So as long as you book an appointment, they said you're fine. And this is right from the SEF. The SEF office had told me that. And we have the paperwork that showed the extended visa. I'm pretty sure we kept it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we're okay, but it's just it's a lot crossing borders. We're by no means criminals, so we're just trying to just travel around and experience life as best we can, and
I'm trying to do it without any any complications. But that was definitely an interesting one. And I'm telling you, if they would have turned me away this time, I probably would have cried. I can't. I could talk
Again.
tough all I want, but
Yeah.
it was just frustrating for
Yeah.
that. So now I gotta make myself up a binder. That's gonna be my assignment when we get back home. And like even he said, I could put my notice of assessment for my taxes. Well, you know what? I did my taxes from Portugal,
Portugal.
last year, the year before, right? We were
Yeah.
in Portugal. I did them online. So I don't understand how.
And they mailed them to our address, which is
Yeah, in Ontario. So
Yeah.
I don't understand how that makes ties to Canada. I just,
yeah.
my passport's not enough, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like,
And one of
It's-
the things we used to do down here that we're probably not going to be able to do anymore is if we wanted to have some Mexican food, we'd go down to Mexico because we stay in Arizona or wherever in Texas here, and then Mexico's right there.
we just park
You
the
can just
car and
park
walk
the car
over.
on the American side and walk over.
Yeah.
But then if you get stuck on the other side and they won't let you back into the States again,
Yeah. That did happen to someone. Well, they tried to deny them entry back in, but they finally let them in. Because I had posted this on our Facebook page, the Snowbird Facebook page,
Yeah.
and there was a gentleman on there, and he replied to my story saying that same thing happened to him. He was crossing back into Mexico. He was getting some dental work done or getting eyeglasses over on the
yeah.
Mexican side, and yeah, they almost didn't let him back in. Like, what if that happens? It's like that would have sucked.
yeah,
Anyways.
flying from Mexico back to Canada and
Yeah,
leave all your stuff here.
I don't have very good luck when it comes to crossing borders there. Anyways, yeah. So
Anyway, so that's our heartache with crossing borders, and hopefully we maybe shed a bit of light on, what could possibly go wrong, because it feels like what could go wrong kind of did go wrong with us.
I tell you. So take my advice. If you travel back and forth, check out your I-94. Make sure that everything adds up, and
Maybe get if you're Canadian, get the access to information, and they'll with your passport number, and they'll send you all your crossings from there, and have a binder.
yeah.
Have hard copies of everything, because you can't break your phone out at the.
But they
at the
don't allow
border.
it. Well, the guy this time let me.
Yeah.
Because he had me showing him all my banking information. So
Again, we were crossing in the morning, and there was nobody. in that
nobody
room.
there. It's like they're bored.
We should go during busy hours. They
Oh
just
my
wave you through.
Jesus! All right,
All right.
we're calling it.
We're calling it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank
and
you so
feel
much.
free to subscribe, like, and send us some comments. We got great comments, and we love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, loving the feedback.
Fantastic. All right. Take care,
right.
everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.